Welcome to Black Woman Leading, the podcast. I'm Laura Knights, your host and the founder of BlackWomanLeading.com. Today we are talking about leading from within. If you want to clarify how you want to lead in the new year, want to identify and leverage your unique leadership strengths as sources of power, and if you want to lead with more self-trust, self-compassion, and alignment in this new year, especially in places where you are underrepresented, then you need to keep listening. Let's get into it.
Black woman leading. Black woman leading.
This podcast amplifies the needs and experiences of Black women leaders in the workplace with a holistic focus on three core areas: leadership development, mental wellness, and relationship management. Our ultimate aim is to help Black women learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity. Hey y'all, before we jump into this episode, I wanted to let you know that registration is now open for the January 2026 cohorts of both our early career and mid-career leadership development programs. No matter where you are on your career journey, our programs are designed to support your holistic development, wellness, and career growth. Our mid-career program is designed for mid and senior level leaders, and it focuses on developing a customized career strategy in this season of your career. Our early career program is a training program, and it's designed to strengthen the foundational leadership competencies really needed to grow into leadership roles. And of course, both programs will center your mental wellness and self-care and also provide a culturally relevant lens for you to do your personal and professional development work as a Black woman. Now, both programs include a ticket to our annual Black Woman Leading Live conference and retreat. It's taking place May 11th through the 14th, 2026 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Now, speaking of Black Woman Leading Live, it is the premier leadership development conference to help Black women professionals learn, heal, and grow in their leadership capacity. And honey, let me tell you, we have a time there. Activities include workshops, panels, wellness breaks, laser coaching, networking, action planning, and all of this in community with other brilliant Black women from across the country. Okay, in our 2026 event, we're going to be focusing on being future ready leaders. So if you want to explore registering for one of our programs, our cohort programs, or if you just want to register for the conference, either thing, you can see the links in the show notes or visit our website at www.blackwomanleading.com to get all the details.
Black woman leading. Keep on healing. Woman leading.
All right, so welcome back to the podcast and Happy New Year. I thought it would be great to start a episode this year kind of reflecting on us as leaders. So today's episode is called Leading from Within, and I can't think of a better way to begin the year than by slowing down just enough to ask ourselves this powerful question: how do I want to lead this year, starting with how I want to lead myself? Now, this season, we've been exploring what it means to lean into joy, not as something extra, not as a reward we earn after we prove ourselves, but as a way of being, a way of leading. And as Black women, often navigating spaces where we are underrepresented, overextended, or unseen, leading from within becomes not just a leadership choice, but a survival skill and a source of power. So leading from within is about trusting yourself at the core. It's about allowing your internal vision, values, capabilities, and ways of knowing to guide how you grow, how you show up, and how you lead, especially when external validation is inconsistent or absent. So today I want to offer you a moment of both reflection and setting direction for the year. We'll look back just enough to extract some wisdom, but our real focus is forward. Who are you becoming as a leader in this next chapter of your career, of your life, of this new year? So I encourage you to feel free to pause and journal. I'm going to give you a couple of reflection prompts to help you think and kind of pull some answers from within. But I've also created a download worksheet with some of these reflective prompts on it that you can use as we walk through this. So check out the show notes or the comments wherever you are watching for the link to get that worksheet. All right, so before we rush into goals and plans, let's just pause for a minute. Take a deep breath, and I want you to think about the last year. Not through the lens of what went wrong or what you didn't accomplish, but through this question: what did this year reveal about how you lead? What did the last year reveal about how you lead? Where did you show courage? Where did you stretch? Where did you protect your peace or wish that you had protected your peace? I want you to just take a moment and just jot down a couple of notes for yourself. If you have your phone, put a note in the notes app. Okay, if you're driving, come back later. Okay, but this isn't about judgment. It's about information. It's about data, because every experience, especially hard ones, left you with some insight that you can carry forward. And so we start by looking back just a little bit so we can inform the looking forward for the work and the vision we want to do moving forward. So leading from within, it starts with honesty, not harshness, not being self-critical. But I want you to think about that. What did this last year reveal about how you lead? And again, if you're not leading other people at work, at home, think about how you led yourself, right? What did it reveal? What did the year reveal about how you lead, how you show up as a leader? So take a moment and reflect on that. And as you're reflecting on that, we'll use some of those insights to kind of drive us forward. So to help guide us into this new year, I want to walk you through a simple but powerful framework. I call it the SELF framework, SELF. It's an acronym. And you can use this as a reflection tool and also a leadership compass. So it has 4 parts. The S is for set your vision and parameters. The E is for excavate your excellence. The L is for leverage your environment. And the F is for frame your mindset. And we want to zoom into some self-compassion today. So I'm going to briefly walk you through the SELF, self framework, as a way for you to kind of craft how you want to lead going forward in this new year. Again, take some time here and there to pause, write it on the downloadable worksheet we provided, or in your journal, in your notes, whatever you have as you're reflecting about how you want to show up this year. All right, so let's start with the S, set your vision and parameters. So the very first step in leading from within is clarity, not perfection, clarity. So you've taken a moment to kind of reflect back and to think about, what data points am I taking with me? You may have gathered some things that you want to leave back in 2025 or whatever year you're listening to this, or you may have gathered some strength points that you're like, yes, I did that. I want to take it forward. So that's a little bit of a foundation that we're starting with. Okay. But now let's set a vision for this new year. And I want you to take a moment as I give you these prompts. It may even be helpful to close your eyes and envision yourself in the space. So a quick little visioning exercise, and then open your eyes and write down. What do I want to stand for as a leader this year? Maybe there's some very clear values you want to double down, 10 toes down on, so that you are really showing up values aligned. Think about what kind of energy do you want to bring into rooms and into relationships? Like when you show up in the room, what kind of presence do you want to be in there? What do you want people to feel or experience from spending time with you, professionally or personally? Think about what limits or boundaries you might need to honor to protect these values that are top of mind, to protect the energy that is top of mind, but also to protect your well-being. What kind of boundaries or limits do you need to honor? And what does fulfillment actually look like for you? Like, think about it. What would thriving professionally look like for you? What would you be doing? What kind of tasks would you be doing? What kind of projects would you be working on? What kind of people would you be interacting with? What does fulfillment look like for you personally? What does thriving look like personally? At home with your family, with maybe your spouse or your romantic partner, with your children, if you're a mom. What does that look like for you? Not what other people say, but what you say. What does that fulfillment look like? And what we're trying to do is create a bit of a vision for how we want to be seen, how we want to experience the year forward. And remember, we're holistic at Black Woman Leading. So think professionally and personally because you're a whole person, okay? It's important to take some time to vision because vision without some parameters leads to burnout. And parameters without vision sometimes lead to just being busy or stagnated. You're doing stuff, but you have no rudder, no direction, no lighthouse, right? And so taking some time to really set this vision, how you want to be seen, what things you want to be doing, what energy you want to bring in the room, what boundaries you want to have in place. What does thriving look like for you professionally and personally? It gives us a bit of a kind of guiding light to walk towards as you are moving forward into the new year. Okay. What we're trying to see after you do a little bit of time of visioning is thinking about this big vision you're setting for yourself moving forward this year and thinking about that current reality coming out of the last year. Are those things on track to merge, the vision and your perception of the current reality? Are they on track to merge? And that's not a judgment call if you feel like it's not on track, but it is a kind of a alert signal that some things might need to change. You might need to pivot. You might need to get some other support or resources to help you. And as you look at is the current reality and the vision on track to converge, you might notice there are some gaps that need to be addressed. And so we want to have this moment of clarity again as we set that vision, as we set some parameters so that we know, hey, okay, I'm on track. I'm just going to keep going this way. Or if I keep going, I'm going to go this way, but the vision is this way. And I might need to pivot. I might need to do some things differently. I might need to set a boundary. Okay, so we are writing out the vision for how you want to lead this year. And that leading from within means that the leadership vision starts internally before it can be validated externally in your experiences and in your interactions with other people. So that's one. That's the S of the self framework. Let's go to the E, excavating your excellence. So to realize that vision that you've set for yourself, you're not like just pulling new things, you're tapping into existing skills, traits, strengths, right? And so that's why we say excavate, not invent. Excavate is to dig out. Think about people in a mine looking for gold, right? It's there already. It's about excavating your excellence. If you're not clear on it, or if you're not optimizing those strengths and talents and things that will help you to realize that vision, we want to amplify those things. We want to turn it up, okay? So you already have leadership assets, and they may not be the ones that show up on a resume, right? So you have some kind of leadership aspects that are your degrees and your experience and the role that you've been in. Yes, that's good. We want to leverage all of that as well. But I want you to tap into what are the things that are your unique secret sauce. It could be things like your intuition, your ability to read the room, your discernment, okay, your resilience, your creativity, your life experience, right? Think about the things you have gone through in life, both positive and maybe not so positive, right? But it's stuff you got from those experiences. It's stuff that you got from those experiences that you can't learn in a book, baby. So we want to make sure that all of that is being added to your leadership because nothing is lost. Everything is for such a time as this, okay? And too often, we've been taught to downplay those gifts because they don't fit the traditional leadership models. So think about that. It may be things like your capacity to build trust with people and build rapport with people, right? Your capacity to see the potential in people and to be able to pull that out and to develop that, whether they are your quote unquote direct reports, your friends, your community members, your neighbor, it doesn't matter, right? We want to pull out not just those kind of hard tactical things that come from your professional experience, your education, but also those unique secret sauce things that are unique to you. Even the things that in the moment, maybe when you were going through them, it didn't feel like a strength. But as you look back and you see what that developed in you, the persistence, right? The perseverance, it may be something you can pull on now. So your uniqueness is not a liability. Your things that you have gone through, positive or negative, are not a liability. It's leverage, right? For you to really take that forward into your leadership. So first, we set a vision, the S. Then the E, we excavate for excellence. What are the things that I'm working with that I can really use to help me to realize this vision? Okay. And I want you to ask yourself, if you're still trying to pull out some of your unique things, right? Think about, what do people consistently come to you for? Not only professionally or personally, right? Maybe you are the mouthpiece to speak up when everybody else is quiet. Maybe you are the one that just naturally has a way of teaching people how to do something, whether you're a quote unquote teacher or not, that then they get it and they're able to move forward and contribute. It can be all of these things, right? So what do people consistently come to you for? These are things you may want to jot some things down. Where do you make the greatest impact without forcing it? It's just natural. You show up, you say a thing, you do the thing, and it really changes the situation for people, right? Think about, because sometimes this is an indicator too, because sometimes when our light is shining real bright in some places, it intimidates other people. And that's their business. That's not your business. Your business is to do you, right? To do you in integrity. But I ask you, what parts of yourself have you been asked to shrink or soften? That often is an indicator of your excellence, because it makes people uncomfortable. It makes people intimidated sometimes. So we can also think to that side. What side have you gotten? What skills, traits, strengths have you gotten a little hateration for sometimes? Those might be things too that are part of your excellence. So, this year, your work is not to become someone else, right? It's to lead more fully as yourself. And so we want to excavate a little bit of this excellence, not a little bit, a lot of it of this excellence, so that we can have that top of mind and bring that forward in our interactions with others. Okay. SE. Let's go to the L. So leveraging your environment. Leadership does not happen in isolation. Even though it may feel lonely sometimes, it's not happening in isolation. So leading from within also means being intentional about your environment, your support systems, your relationships, the ecosystems that you kind of create and thrive in, okay? So a couple of reflection points here to think about: either what is really going well in my environment, whether that's people or the spaces that you're in that I really want to amplify, or what things are happening in my environment that are not serving me, that does not enable me to bring forth the excellence you just did in the last step, that's not enabling me to realize the vision that you did in our first step, okay? So you want to ask yourself, as you think about your support systems, who reflects your brilliance back to you, right? Think about when you get in those human moments, when you start to doubt yourself, when fear starts to creep up, when you start to say, who do I think I am to try to achieve this vision? Who are those people who remind you of who you are? Who are like, girl, you are exactly that girl that you think you are, right? Who are those people? Because we want to show love and reciprocity to those people. We need those people to really realize these things, right? So who reflects your brilliance back to you? Where do you feel psychologically safe to grow? And we've talked about psychological safety on the show before, but psychological safety is just a term that says in whatever environment that you're in, your team, or think about to your larger organization, think about your friend group, think about your family. Where can you share your thoughts, ask for help, make mistakes, and have a moment to fix them without the fear of retaliation, humiliation, somebody gonna laugh at you, all of that. If you can do those vulnerable things, ask for help. Say, I got an idea, right? Can I put forth my idea? Can I share my thoughts? You can do all of this in a space that you feel really safe to share and belong. Even if people don't agree, this doesn't mean that people have to take all of your ideas, but you feel comfortable enough to put it out there. That's a psychologically safe environment. So where do you feel that, right? We want to be in more spaces like that. Which spaces drain you? Which people drain you? Which spaces restore you? Which people restore you? Taking a moment to reflect on this might already be illuminating to you either more space relationships that you need to create, or pouring into the relationships you have that support in this way, or, and this can be painful sometimes, it may also be showing you where you need to put up some boundaries and some guardrails. Okay? I'm not the queen of blocking people and just cutting people off. I'm not suggesting that. But sometimes you might need to put limits around your interactions and spaces where it makes you feel away. In our Black Women Leading community, we've had a lot of people that the workplace was so stressful, they used our experience to find another space to contribute their skills, another organization to contribute their skills that did not make them feel so icky. Okay? And so you can apply these reflections to work. You can apply these reflections to your personal life as well. So we want to make sure that if we've set a vision, the S, if we've excavated our excellence and are preparing to really put that forward, the E, that the excellence, the vision cannot live or thrive in an environment that is depriving it of oxygen. Okay? It cannot live in an environment that is not a nutrient dense. Think about a plant, y'all. If the soil ain't right, that baby ain't growing. Okay? You are a plant, my love. If the soil, the surroundings, the environment ain't right, baby, you may be the rose that grew from the concrete, but I'm going to tell you, it's going to limit how high, how far, how wide you could grow. Okay, so we want to take a moment as conscious leaders to leverage the environment, the people, the spaces that we're in, to say, is this for this new year? Is this the right type of soil for me to bring forth this little vision baby that I have, for me to bring forth and really contribute this excellence that I have to give? Okay, so cultivating this support is not a weakness. This is strategy, y'all. This is strategy. Especially for us as Black women leaders, cultivating the right environment is essential. It is not optional. Okay, so that's our L. And a few more things about the L, specifically from a professional standpoint, I just want to amplify this, is that one of the things about your environment, because it's about how you're interacting with other people, I want to really encourage you all to make sure that you are guiding the narrative about the value you add to the environment. So we did that Excavate Your Excellence, that you should be having messaging, having language that talks about the value and the contributions you're bringing. You should be able to talk about that. You should be able to share that in your team meetings, in your one-on-ones, and your more formal kind of performance discussions. I really want to encourage you, because that environment you're cultivating, you are a contributor to that environment. And so make sure you are guiding the narrative about the value that you have, and that you're utilizing your network, specifically in this professional realm, right? Are you leveraging those contacts, those relationships you've built? Are you being reciprocal? So not just asking for, but also giving where appropriate. inappropriate. So it's a win-win. We don't want you pouring out and you haven't gotten anything in return. But we want to make sure you're leveraging the network. Are there a great exercise? A great exercise to do is a network mapping exercise. And if you've never done this, you can just Google it and find a ton of different steps to walk you through it. Google network mapping, professional network mapping exercise. But you put yourself in the middle and you can think about these different professional roles, right, that you have. And you think about it like a mind map. Who are people who may help me get more information about what I'm doing? Who are people who support me to get my work done? This could be colleagues, these could be direct reports. Who are people who amplify and serve as advocates, mentors, sponsors? Who are my work besties that I can lean on for appropriate emotional and social support in the workplace, right? So anyway, all of these different roles you map out. And this is not just in your existing network. You can do this and thinking about previous jobs. You can do this and thinking about kind of your colleagues that you went to school with or got your graduate education with, wherever you are with that. And what you're doing is you're looking at all these people in your network to see, wow, as I think about this vision or these goals I have for myself, are there people in my network that might support me to do this? Are there people in my network that I need to nurture more? Maybe I haven't talked to them in a while. Or are there people in my network that I need to really optimize? Like they're there, we've developed this connection, we've maybe worked on something together. And I mean, I'm just not even connected to them and the things that they're doing, right? So I want to encourage you to utilize your network this year if you haven't been doing that, right? And then the last thing that's really part of leveraging this environment in your professional work life is about creating visibility strategies for yourself connected to the goals that you have. So in Black Woman Leading, we talk about visibility strategies a lot. And essentially, it is something you want to achieve in the professional realm. Maybe it's a promotion, a raise. You want to get your employer to pay for some professional development. You want to be the lead on a new project because that will give you a lot of visibility across the organization and an opportunity to really kind of flex that excellence that we talked about, right? So you set a visibility goal. You think about who are those key audiences that you need to build a relationship with within your organization to accomplish that goal, right? It might be your manager, their manager, other colleagues, cross-functional colleagues, clients, customers, stakeholders, whatever the case. And then once you have that visibility goal in your key audiences, then you also work on what are key strategies that can help you to connect to those audiences, right? It may be something as simple as like a coffee chat campaign, right? Where I need to maybe make some connections with people in other parts of the organization. Can I set up some little quick coffee chats, virtual coffee chats, right? Maybe it's about asking one of those people you pulled in a network map to do a strategic introduction with you. I do this all the time as a business owner. I'll see one of my colleagues or my network folks has a connection to someone who could be a business lead for me or could be connected to a business lead. I'll ask them to do an introduction, right? Perhaps it's about you leading a meeting. That's a visibility strategy, right? Or a key strategy, right? You want to lead the meeting to present something, right? So that just gives you a couple of ideas. But when we think about leveraging your environment in the professional context, creating some really intentional visibility strategies for yourself may support you to experience some of the professional vision that you have in mind. Okay? And then our last part of the self framework is F, framing your mindset. And this is thinking about self-compassionate strategy, y'all, because I'm sure there was some big stuff in that vision that you set out. And as I said, sometimes we'll go for something and maybe it doesn't work the first time, or our own kind of internal saboteur starts to come up, right? So the mindset is really important as we launch into this new year, right? Leading from within requires a mindset rooted in self-compassion, not self-criticism. So self-compassion can sound soft, but it's actually a resilience practice. And if you research self-compassion, you could just Google, right? Google, tell me more about self-compassion and see what comes up, or go to selfcompassion.org, Dr. Kristen Neff's website. She's seen as a thought leader in self-compassion. So much good stuff there. But if you have a hard time talking nicely to yourself, You talk tough to yourself, baby. You are critical. Your worst, your worst critic. If you are your worst critic, this is very important for you because sometimes we can self-sabotage ourselves by the words that we speak to ourselves. So self-compassion, as I mentioned, it can sound soft, y'all, but there's actually two parts of self-compassion, like a yin and a yang. There's the tender side. We can think of like giving yourself a hug. Oh, baby, it didn't work. That's okay. Okay, that's the tender side. Sometimes we need that, a little mama love to ourselves, right? But there's also a fierce side of self-compassion, and you can think of that as like the mama bear talking to yourself, right? You know, you set this vision and you know you have not been applying yourself to it. The fierce side of self-compassion say, all right, girl, come on now, wash your face, get yourself together, we got things to do, right? And so self-compassion is not just licking wounds, although it might be that because we might need that sometimes. It could also be that talk you give to yourself when you know you're not reaching the potential, like, girl, okay, come on, pull up, let's do this, right? That's self-compassion too. It's called fierce self-compassion, okay? But it is important. It's part of our resilience practice. It allows us to recover from setbacks, to stay open to learning and keep a growth mindset, to protect our mental and emotional well-being. Listen, what that little thing we used to say when we was little, sticks and stones can hurt my bones, but words can never hurt me, is a lie from the pit of hell, okay? Words can hurt a lot. That's why the word says there is the power of life and death in the tongue. That's not only what we speak to other people, that's what we speak to ourselves. So we don't need to be speaking word curses to ourselves, y'all. Talking about what, I ain't gonna never do this, and oh, I ain't gonna you need to stop that right now. Okay? Because you need to speak life to yourself. It's very important that your self-talk aligns with the vision and the values that you've already pulled out in this exercise so far, okay? So this year, if this is hard for you, if it's not hard for you, keep going, girl. Keep talking positively to yourself. But if it's hard for you and you feel like I'm not quite hitting the mark on the vision, I should be so much further along right now, all the things we say to ourselves. This year, try replacing the question, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Let's not do that. Let's try replacing that with what's being asked of me right now? What do I need right now? What steps right now will help me to move toward the direction I want to go, right? And that compassion, we want to talk to ourselves the same way we would talk to a dear friend. And we actually did a podcast on this a couple of seasons back about mindful self-talk. I will link that in the show notes if you want to, if this is really resonating with you and you want to check out that episode, okay? But it's important as we think about this season's theme of leaning into joy. Joy grows where compassion lives, baby. So again, we want to make sure that we're framing our mindset, that when that negativity comes up, and it will, it's part of the human experience, that we don't lean into that and continue to berate ourselves around it, but that we replace some of that language with some more self-compassion type of language. Okay, it's part of the strategy. It feels frivolous, but it truly is part of the strategy. Okay, so we have talked about the self framework. Let's bring it all together. We've set our vision and the parameters. Well, first, we did a little reflection back on the last year and thought about how did we show up? How did our leadership manifest? And we thought about if there's some things we want to take forward or some things we want to keep back. But then moving forward, this self-framework, we've gone through the S, set your vision and parameters. The E, excavate your excellence. What are the things we already have to pull on, to lean on, to accomplish this vision? Leveraging our environments, thinking about our support networks as well as the space. And I gave you a few extra points there and thinking about your professional environment and how you contribute to that. And then finally, framing our mindset with self-compassion. So leading from within is not about control. It's about alignment. It's about alignment at the end of the day. And that being able to be present with ourselves, that when we see ourselves out of alignment with the vision, with our values, with who we know ourselves to be, that we have that trigger that we can move ourselves back into formation. Okay. When your vision, your excellence, your environment, and your mindset are working together, you can lead with clarity even in uncertain spaces. Okay. And you don't have to wait to be invited to do that, baby, because if you're not leading nobody else, you leading yourself first. So this year, I pray that your leadership is more grounded, more joyful, more authentic, and more yours. Okay. So I want to leave you with a little challenge for this new year. I want to offer you a simple challenge to kind of carry you into this new year. Over the next week, and if it's not the first when we're releasing this that you're listening to it, whenever you're listening to it, over the next week, I want to ask you to do 3 things, okay? And to take this moment for yourself as you think about your vision for this year. I want you to write a short little paragraph, maybe 2 to 3 sentences, that's your leadership intention statement using this self framework and the insights that came from it. What is your intention for how you want to show up as a leader this year? Write 2 to 3 sentences for yourself. Take a picture of it, put it in your phone, put it on your screensaver so you can revisit that. You can remember who you said you wanted to be this year. I want you to name 3 of your leadership strengths that came out of the Excavating Your Excellence that you are committing to honor this year. Maybe that's through doing some more training, learning, coaching to build and strengthen that. Maybe you're going to read some books. You're going to take a course. You're going to get a coach, whatever that is. Or maybe it's not about learning more about it. Maybe it's just about using it and finding some intentional spaces where you can demonstrate those leadership strengths. Pick 3 of them that you're going to intentionally commit to turning up the value on them this year. And I want you to choose one boundary that protects your joy, that you are going to not only set for yourself, you're going to communicate it to other people, because a boundary not communicated, y'all, is just a waste, okay? But that you're also going to honor it yourself, because sometimes the person violating the boundaries is you, honey. It ain't the other people. It's us sometimes. What do they say? The call is coming from inside the house, okay? So those are 3 things I want you to do for the challenge. Write your leadership intention statement, 2 to 3 sentences that is your commitment to how you want to show up this year. Name those 3 leadership strengths that you are committed to honoring this year, to pouring into this year, and that one boundary that you are going to set that protects your joy. Revisit these things quarterly. Put an alert in your phone to revisit them quarterly to assess how you're doing. Maybe something shifts. That's fine. We can change. We can always change our mind, but it's important to start with something. Let this evolve, but also let it be a guide to you. Okay? And because leading from within is not a one-time decision, it's a practice. It's a practice. And even some of the things that you may have assessed that you want to let go of, that's a practice too, y'all. A slow unraveling. We didn't learn this stuff overnight. We didn't start doing things that's not serving us overnight. We need to take focused effort, but we also need to have that self-compassion that we talked about. Okay. So I hope this was helpful for you. I just wanted to give you a little moment on this first day of the new year. As you step into the new year, I want you to remember, you don't need permission to trust yourself. You don't need to erase who you are and all of those different experiences you had to lead well. Everything comes together for such a time as this. And you don't need to abandon your joy to be taken seriously. We can have that thing weaved into, the joy can be weaved into the experience. That's everything we've been talking about this season. I hope this year that you are able to lead from within, from a place that you really feel proud. From a place that you feel was hard won. The woman that you are and what you have experienced in life has blessed you, has made you privileged to show up in the way that you're going to show up in this year. Okay, that is my hope and my prayer for you, sis. I would love to hear from you if you've done this, if you've taken this New Year challenge that I laid out, wrote your intention statements. I would love to hear and bear witness and cheer you on. Shoot me an email. My info is in the show notes. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, share it with your peeps. Share this episode. Leave us a comment, a rate, all the things to give us a little nudge of encouragement to tell us to keep doing this work too. We love to hear from y'all. We are on all all major podcast platforms. You can also listen to us on the Black Woman Leading YouTube, and you can listen directly from our website as well. Make sure you follow, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and all the things so we can stay connected. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We are at Black Woman Leading. You can also visit our website at blackwomanleading.com to learn about our programs, our events, everything we have going on. And if you want to connect with me personally, I'm Laura E. Knights. I'm most active on Instagram and on LinkedIn. Okay. And finally, if you want to learn about our work that we do inside of organizations to help them develop their leaders and teams, check out our corporate site at knightsconsultinggroup.com. We would love to connect with you in any of these ways. And until next time, be well.